A new event just for gamers, and it looks like NetEase might be adding a new map to rank. For more news like this, stick around for this week's episode of This Week in Identity 5. Welcome back everyone to another episode of This Week in Identity 5. Wow, we've done so many of these videos now, I don't even know how many there are. But anyway, let's get into talking about what we received last week, and we received quite a lot, and a lot of it wasn't announced previously, so that was a bit weird. On the patch day, we got the Manor Dream event. It was an event that's not new, but it's new for players who haven't been playing since, well, didn't start playing until after 2019, because this is a 2019 event that they've brought back again. In this event, you'll be able to log in daily to receive 7 petals, and once you've received those, you'll also receive rewards. Also, by participating in matches, you'll receive flowers. I think they're called ancient carvings, but I'm not completely sure, which you can be able to use to be able to participate in puzzle games. I haven't really been playing the game that much recently, so I only managed to do one puzzle at the moment, but that's fine. There is also a remnants shop where you'll be able to buy different types of costumes and stuff like that are B tiers using costume remnants that can be found in the event by completing quests. I haven't actually received any of these, and I don't know how you receive them, but I know that you can. Another event we got last week was the Koa 5 Champions event. This is a small event where by participating in just one match, you'll be able to receive the Champion Wolves portrait. Also, all the characters that were played by the Team Wolves are also now going to be free to use for a limited period of time, and there are quite a lot of them. So that's cool. We've just had the end of where everybody was available, so this is just an extension to that pretty much. Not every character is available, but pretty much every character is available. A mini event that happened over on the Identity 5 Twitter was that Perfumer just got her novel series released. We've had this for Wax Artist, and I can't remember who else had one previously, where you could read quite a long little kind of story that was about the character. It's connected to their lore, but it's a little bit more in depth. And I think this is really fantastic. They're adding more lore to all of these characters and giving a little bit more description to these characters, because it just adds more personality to them. But I haven't read this one yet. I did read the Wax Artist one. Other things that we got was we got a massive nerf for Professor, the new survivor. His cooldown for his shield was extended from 60 seconds to 70 seconds if he uses it and gets hit, and if he doesn't get hit, then of course it would be shortened from 30 seconds, but now it's changed from 30 seconds to 45 seconds. So that is 10 seconds onto if he gets hit, and 15 seconds added if he doesn't manage to block a hit and he just goes into cooldown. Scale hardening can also not be used while interacting anymore. This was something that made him very strong originally because he could just block terror shocks when vaulting windows, but apparently he can't do that anymore. If survivors pick up one of his shells, they don't push the hunter back as far anymore. It's only a duration of 1.43 seconds. That I don't think is a distance per se, but it just is a pushback time. And that little delay that he adds to the hunter's attack animation is changed from 0.3 seconds to 0.17 seconds. So that's much shorter added to it, meaning that the hunter have a much faster attack when in the close proximity to the Professor. Well, a good thing though is that Professor has just been added to duos, Chasing Shadows, Tarot, and Blackjack, and also of course rank. So you guys can all start ranking up with him to become the S badge Professor. He's still a really good character. I think a lot of people are worried about him being really weak now with this nerf, but I don't think it's as bad as you guys think it is. After playing him myself this week, I do think that his cooldowns are relatively short, and it feels like his debuff for decoding is almost non-existent because it barely ever really comes into much use, but hey, anyway. As for some other additions that we got to the game that are a bit more minor, we got some improved sound effects for hitting a survivor with wax, because Wax Artist has been adjusted his audio a little bit and how his wax attaches to kind of objects on the map. And they've also improved visual effects for flywheel effect. I haven't noticed any difference, but I haven't tested it out recently, so I'm not completely sure. They added a quick message for survivors when they are dismantling gamekeepers' traps. Postman, Gravekeeper, Prisoner, and Psychologist are now survivor bots in custom matches, and that's kind of fun to see. Now it's going to be even more difficult to defeat the custom bot survivors. It feels like they're getting a full team together, and they might be adding a survivor game mode in the future. That would be kind of exciting. And of course they released tons of bug fixes, of which one of them I read through. You know, I didn't read through all of them, but some of them stood out to me. One of which was that now apparently under the staircase in Chinatown, where apparently, you know, there's that hole, some survivors could go through it, of which I think Geisha was one of those characters that could go through that hole under the staircase. That has now been fixed. Apparently no characters can go through that anymore. That is interesting. Okay, moving on to what we can expect from this week, and we've got a couple of things coming out this week. We've got the Game Lovers Day coming out on May 20th, and I've never heard of this event, but apparently it's a thing. By completing some quests, some missions during the event that are probably going to be minor things like probably like play a match, stuff like that, you'll be able to win an event portrait. It says win an event portrait instead of receive an event portrait. Does this mean that we don't have a guaranteed chance at this? I'm not completely sure. We also get a tier unlock card for 1 day, clues, fragments, and even more. The S costume for Barmaid, that is a very highly anticipated skin, is coming out soon with her A accessory that are her glasses that will technically attach to her eyes, similar to that B tier accessory that was released a while ago. So this skin, Sea Salt Mocktail, is going to be available in the store, I think, for a limited period of time. Oh, and of course we've got Gamekeeper's Character Day coming out this week. That's going to be fun as well. I believe it falls on the 21st. Maybe I messed up which day it is. I didn't write it down. Oopsie daisy. But Gamekeeper is going to have his character day, so that's going to be cool as well. We've had tons of character days recently. I'm not sure if it's just me, but it feels like every week I'm talking about new character days. That was pretty much everything that's been guaranteed to come out this week. I'm sure NetEase will release some more news today or tomorrow as of the release of this video, and I will be too early to have posted this video to find out exactly what that was. We've got some things coming up in the future that NetEase has kind of leaked and have been leaked, and kind of think people have been discussing it. Well, let's talk about this. First of all, Darkwoods is being rumored to be added to rank, and I'm confused as to why this is, because I do think that Darkwoods is completely not balanced, and I don't think that they've actually adjusted the map since it was released at all. There are still some infinite loops for some hunters that just can't be played, and it feels like there are only specific hunters that can even be played on this map at all, so I'm very confused as to why this is coming out, but maybe they're going to adjust it in the future. Maybe it just is balanced, and maybe that's my opinion. As an addition to this, apparently they also are going to be adding the spawn selection to certain game modes. So that was going to be rank and custom matches, I believe, meaning that we might have a completely different game on our hands, because this means that spawn points are going to be irrelevant. Only in quick matches they will be relevant though. The new Hunter's trait called Cold Ticket, also possibly being called Shiver, that is one of the other abilities similar to Abnormal, Blink and stuff like that, will be added soon. We've already seen what this is going to look like, and I'm surprised that it hasn't been added yet, and I'm not completely sure if anyone will use it, but it's definitely interesting, that is for sure. Another couple of abilities that might be adjusted are Tinnitus and Exit Path are rumored to be being added as default abilities for hunters and survivors. I've been asking for this for a very, very long time. I'm not completely sure why they weren't added originally to the game. I also thought that maybe Detention and also Borrow Time could also be just added to the game as a default character ability for hunter and survivors, but that does mean that they are going to possibly be theorizing, they might be adding some new abilities to the persona webs to replace these, and that would be extremely exciting. With all of these new changes coming to the game, with all these different abilities, that does mean that NetEase is going to have some issues trying to explain to new players what's going on. So apparently NetEase is going to also be improving the tutorial. That is something that they've kind of promised us for quite a while now, I think over a year. And of course we'll be able to test all of these new things that will be coming out soon, because the global test server, not just the Chinese test server, is finally going to be added sometime around mid-June. That is something that I've already talked about. I'm very, very excited about. There are also plans to shrink the game files. That is something that they've also promised us for, I feel like, a year or something like this. Mercenary is going to be getting a new diary thing added to this, added to his story, of course, to his lore this year. That is something that I'm sure a lot of people are excited about, because I've never really played any of the diaries. I tried the Magician one and gave up halfway through because it was quite boring, but I know that a lot of people are quite interested in these kind of things. The Penrose Maze Explore S tier is going to be swapped out from the Penrose Maze event. I'm assuming that means they're going to introduce a new S tier, but that's not now. That's going to be for Chinese New Year, so that is sometime next year, not this year, so that's not too bad. There are apparently some adjustments, possibly buffs, possibly nerfs. Some people say that these characters are going to be buffed, but I'm not completely sure, because Barmaid, Gravekeeper, Embalmer, Undead, and Postman are going to get adjustments. I'm pretty sure that Embalmer, Gravekeeper, Barmaid, and Postman right now are sitting at a very good position, so I'm not really sure if they're going to be buffed. I feel like they might be nerfed because they were played very often in Koa. As for Undead, there are talks about his hitbox being adjusted, where his hitbox, in my opinion, is... Oh, if you look at the stats, is one of the best hitboxes in the game distance wise. Is not really the best hitbox in the game as in left and right, and when they're actually underneath your sword, that could maybe do some adjustments, but I don't think that's exactly what Percy needs. Entomologist, Batter and Painter have also been rumored to be getting next year's Koa 6 skins, and that is, I'm not really sure how people really work this out, and I'm not sure if NetEase has even planned that far ahead. I'm sure they have some idea of what skins they're going to be creating next year, because they do need to do a lot of animations and stuff, but I'm surprised that these characters have already been leaked as being coming out next year, and I'm not sure how trustworthy that is. Let's move on to the talk in the manor, where I respond to your comments that you guys left on my recent videos. Anubis2161 says, I look forward to seeing what they will do in the future. It's nice to see them change the game up to bring people back in and not let the game wither and decay like other games in this genre. To me, it shows that they care about the game, and it's refreshing to see developers care about the fanbase. Hopefully they figure out the balancing the best they can. I agree with you, Anubis. When we're talking about Home Sweet Home Survive, that was the video that I talked about last week, they did do a big adjustment, and I do agree. It does show that the developers are, they care about their game. They don't want to see it completely collapse, because they did put a lot of effort into the game. It is very well designed, at least the ideas. I think it does have some issues, of course, as we talked about in the video, and there are more issues to it than just that. Marsh says, never thought you'd talk about this game, lol. Actually, something that you guys may not have realized, but it's something that I have done relatively often on this channel, is I do just focus on asymmetrical games, 1v4 horror games, of course. Like I've talked about VHS in the past, I've talked kind of about VHS, I've talked about Dead by Daylight, I've talked about Prop Night, and of course Identity 5, and this is where I want my channel to be going in the future. At least this channel, I want to be able to go kind of down this kind of route of asymmetrical horror games that are 1v4, because it's a genre that I enjoy. I enjoy that this kind of back and forth between hunters or killers versus survivors, or whatever you want to call them, visitors in the case of this game. So yeah, I do think that this is something I want my channel to do, and I'm surprised that you guys didn't think that I would cover this game, because it was only revamped not that long ago. Zestos comments on my Undead video where I discussed his Persona Web being 25% useless. He comments, Percy is already decent. If they give him working Persona Web, survivors will complain about him even more. He is decent because, believe it or not, he is able to hold up in high ranks. It's probably a good choice not to give him working Personas. I don't completely agree with this opinion, Zestos, because I feels like you're not taking into consideration that because he's might be good in high ranks, he isn't actually that good in high ranks. A lot of the higher S badges still really do struggle, especially if you watched and you watch some gameplay. He's a hunter that takes a lot of involvement. I would like to see, of course, what NetEase results are on this, and of course I do agree that he's very good in lower ranks, because of course nobody knows how to play against him, but that is because nobody plays him, because he is a very difficult character to win with, and he takes a lot of mastery. And just saying and kind of worrying about, well, what if he gets even better, is kind of unfair, because he's not actually one of the best characters in the game right now, and I think he's very, very far from it, and just hindering him compared to other hunters just because he can't actually use something that other hunters can just feels a little bit unfair. I know his game mechanics are different, but that doesn't mean that survivors should just be spoon-fed everything and just be like, okay, well, you guys don't know how to kite him, so we'll just not buff him. But no, I think that survivors need to learn how to play against him as much as hunters need to learn how to play against all of the newest survivors that are released. I think there is a lot more to this argument, and it's not something I'm going to just talk the whole video about, but I do think we need to see how well he's really performing and how many of those players are people who have really dedicated their time to learning this character, because not a lot of people just play him casually. What do you think about the new adjustments to maybe adding Darkwoods to rank match? Do you think this is a good idea? Tell me down in the comments below. And whilst you're down there, remember to like and subscribe to the video and check out the Black Phoenix Plus channel, because I do good news stuff over there too. Have a great day, guys. Bye bye.